Oh my goodness, I just had an amazing conversation with Amberly Lago on my Real Moms podcast. I got the opportunity to interview with her, and she is absolutely phenomenal. If you do not know who she is, or if you are not following her, make sure you start following her. She has an amazing story. She's got a book. She's going to be releasing another book here come next year. I have attended her Unstoppable event summit. Hopefully going to be going to another one this next April. So make sure you check out this podcast and learn more about Amberly Lago. Hello, fellow mompreneurs. Welcome to the Real Moms Podcast, the go-to space for resilient entrepreneurs who are striving for abundant living. I'm your host, Shay Spitz, a mompreneur and a realtor here in Columbus, Nebraska. Are you a mom juggling the hustle of entrepreneurship, family life, and personal growth? Well, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we dive deep into the real, unfiltered stories of incredible women who are navigating the journey of mompreneurship. We'll celebrate the victories, share practical insights, and acknowledge that it's okay to face challenges along the way. Success isn't about the destination. It's about the journey and the growth we experience as we balance our careers and the chaos of family life. Whether you're a seasoned mompreneur or just starting on this exciting path, join me and our amazing guests as we explore what it truly means to be a resilient entrepreneur striving for abundant living. Get ready for real, raw, and remarkable conversations that will inspire and uplift you. Because here at the Real Moms Podcast, we believe in the power of community, authenticity, and the strength that comes from embracing the journey together. So grab your coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's dive into the world of mompreneurship. This is the Real Moms Podcast, where we celebrate the hustle, honor the struggle, and thrive as resilient entrepreneurs living abundantly. Welcome to another episode of Real Moms Podcast. I like to start every podcast off with a motivational quote, and today's quote is, "You've got a shovel in your hand. You can lean on it and pray for a hole, or you can start digging." Today, I have the honor of introducing Amberly Lago. She is a widely recognized expert in helping entrepreneurs build their business with grit and resilience. As the founder of the Unstoppable Life Mastermind, Amberly has worked with thousands of clients over her career to find success through harnessing her grit and finding their joy. So Amberly, I cannot thank you enough for being here and taking the time to be on my show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I adore you. I'm so grateful to be here with you and your community of listeners. And so thank you for having me.
Yes, and I have looked up to you for quite a while now. I think I first met you probably a year and a half, almost 2 years ago at Create Conference with Ken Jocelyn. Was my very first time. I heard you speak. I talked to you a little bit. And then this year, a friend of mine and I went to your Unstoppable event. And I will tell you, it wasn't only life-changing for me, but I know it was life-changing for my friend who went, who ironically won the VIP ticket for next year as well.
How wild is that you brought a friend and Crystal won a VIP ticket? I have her name actually written on my whiteboard. That's why I was looking over. I was like, I had two VIP winners, and one was Crystal and one was my friend Trevor, who actually lives in Dallas. But I just loved having you there, and thank you so much for coming. And I'm excited to see you at the next Unstoppable event.
I know. I'm excited. I want to bring a group of women, so a group of the Real Moms, which Real Moms, I'm not sure if you're aware, but Real Moms stands for Resilient Entrepreneurs and Abundant Living, so REAL. So I'm hoping to be able to bring a group, a handful or two of women to your Unstoppable event, because if you talk to Crystal, it was life-changing for her. It was emotional. It was, just all the feelings she felt.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's why I do these events, is I want to, even if I can touch one person and make a difference in their life and spark joy and inspire and give them strategies to move forward, then that's why I do it. And I will tell you, my husband is like, when are you going to stop doing these events? Because they're very stressful.
Yeah.
I'm telling my husband, they're stressful for who? Like you?
Right. Right, men.
Yeah, he's just not into the whole self-development or anything like that. But I will tell you that he did pick up John Gordon and Catherine Gordon from the airport. And he was expecting, I think, like, I don't know, I don't know what he was expecting, but he was like, oh my gosh, I love John Gordon. He's amazing. We hit it off. And I'm like, see, honey, see, these people are amazing people. And yeah, you should talk to John Gordon more. I mean, he's amazing. You know what I mean? So I was so glad that it was a great experience. And maybe it's the crack in the door that's going to get him into more
Yeah.
self-development. You never know.
You never know. You never know. And it's interesting because ever since your conference, I've stayed in touch with Catherine Gordon and John Gordon. I had reached out to him about talking to my group of women. He's like, well, actually, why don't you talk to my wife? Talk to Catherine. So I actually had her join onto our week or bi-weekly meetings, and she's been on my
Awesome.
and she's amazing as well. I mean, her and John have both been super helpful, super supportive. And that's all honestly because I went to your conference.
Oh,
I read a lot of his books. I read their Relationship Grit, I think is what their book together was called. And I read that about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I already knew of them. But it's just been I think everything happens for a reason and things come around full circle. I met you a year and a half ago at Ken Jocelyn's event. And then here I am a year and a half later interviewing you on my podcast. And it's just, I don't know. I just love everything about life and making connections and meeting like-minded individuals who are giving back to other people, you know?
mm.
And that's really where it is. It's helping others get where they want to go. And ultimately it'll help you. But it's just such a rewarding feeling and emotion when you've done
Yeah.
that.
And you know what? It's because of the choices that you have made.
Mhm.
You have chosen to invest in yourself and take a
Mhm.
risk and jump out of your comfort zone and get in the room.
Mhm.
And I swear, it's when you get in the room is where those transformations happens. It's where the breakthrough happens. It's where the relationships are built.
Yeah.
And, speaking of John Gordon, I got an email, oh my goodness, it was months ago about a day with John Gordon in Milet. Let me tell you, it wasn't cheap. One day, okay, I'll be brutally honest,
Yeah,
70
absolutely.
$7,500 for one day.
Oh,
I
I would have done that.
The VIP dinner the night before was hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, John and Catherine are my friends. Catherine is so kind, and she's like, Amberly, I can't believe you bought a ticket. And I'm like, no, I always buy a ticket.
Mhm.
Like any friend of mine that is having an event,
Yeah.
I buy the ticket because I know how much time, effort, thought, money that goes into the event. So I want to support them. But
Mhm.
also, look, I pulled out my credit card and yeah, I used a credit card right away. And I was like, let me get the day with John and Ed because I know that I am going to get to connect and meet with people that I'm meant to connect with. And so it's very important, I think, to really look at what's going on and around you with events and choose the right event for you. The event that, okay, that's my people. That's where I know I'm going to connect and move the needle on my business. And, so many people, and I will have to tell you, I had people that showed up in Dallas that they, okay, I didn't have great security at the door. They didn't buy a ticket and they got in for free. And I'm like, they thought they were there to support me. And I was like, dude, you don't realize you just cost me $500 by walking in the door.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that you feel like you're there to support me. But no, it costs me money as soon as you come in the door.
Yeah.
And I understand this. And that is why I always buy a VIP ticket to all. My best friend is Brooke Hemingway, and
Mhm.
she has an annual event. I have spoken at her event 4 times. I still buy a VIP ticket to her event
Yeah.
because I know it's going to be an event that's amazing.
Mhm.
I know how much it costs to put on an event, and I want to be a support, like a true support. And so, anyway, I got on a tangent there. Sorry.
No, you didn't, because I think that is really that's important to talk about, because the couple things that I want to play off of that is when I'm helping like coach clients, or I'm sorry, real estate agents as they're like onboarding and stuff. The number one thing that I tell people is like, don't work your sphere. I know that sounds like opposite of what a lot of other people say,
Like,
but
what'd you say? What'd you say?
don't work your sphere of influence at first, because it is one of the biggest life decisions for somebody's life, and you're going to take it personal when they decide to work with somebody else. And you
Mm,
can build that reputation, and then as you have that experience, then they're going to want to start working with you and coming to you and all of those things. But another really, really, really good piece of advice that I learned early on is how you pay people is how they will pay you. And
mm.
and that's not just monetary, that's in everything, you know. So like I've been complimented on how quickly I am to pay my contractors or to pay people. Like I will pay, especially Venmo, but I will pay you
Oh, yeah.
right away, you know, because that comes back full circle. Then they're like, okay, well, she pays. I'm going to jump all over anytime she needs help with a transaction or a repair or whatever the case may be. And then because I also think that just because people are your friend, that they automatically should receive a discount. I don't believe in that. I believe that when I
Because
have
they're your friend, you
to pay
should
them
be
more
paying.
and pay them more sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, it just, but people don't see it that way. People are like, oh, well, hey, I know you. Will you give me a discount?
Hmm.
Well, sometimes you're more of a pain in the ass than anybody else. So, no, I should actually charge you more. But yeah, I mean, just because I mean, my parents have bought and sold with me, and I charge them the full commission. I mean, I help them so in so many other ways, you know, and never charge. But when I'm actually doing my job and what I'm hired to do, it is going to be the full commission because I know I'm worth
Yeah.
that.
Well, and yeah, and you know what? I was just talking to one of my best friends who actually was a speaker. She's been a speaker at a couple of my events, but she was a speaker at my last mastermind retreat here at my home. And she got a couple of clients out of it, which is, I always want it to be a win-win.
Hmm.
But you know why? Well, she's one of my best friends, but she is like, friends aside, this is business. And here's your commission. I never asked for commission. I would have, because I want to benefit. It's a win-win for me
Hmm.
when my mastermind member can get the help they need and she can get business.
Yeah.
But then she throws in commission. I never expected that. And that's not why I brought her in.
Yeah.
I brought her in because I believe in her. I know how amazing she is.
Mhm.
But what you were saying about, like, yeah, you treat your people good, and you know what? It always comes back. Like, I will always have her come and speak because she not only takes care of my mastermind members, she takes care of me,
Yeah.
which I was not expecting.
Yeah. 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 That's just one piece of advice that I learned early on is how you pay people is how they will pay you. And
Oh,
it's just
can I
amazing.
say one more thing real quick?
Absolutely. You can say a lot more things.
Oh, okay. Well, you saying that right now this morning, I just sent an email to I work with several speakers bureaus, and I booked a job through a speakers bureau and I got paid the next week. And I said, "Wow, thank you so much for getting me paid so quickly." I
Mhm.
said, "I waited 6 months to get paid for this other keynote that I did where I flew to Chicago, gave a 2-hour keynote, did a Q&A and a VIP dinner, and I got paid 6 months later. And it was just like, I was telling my husband, I will never work for that company
Yes,
again. I
exactly.
will never work
Yes.
for that company again
Hmm.
because exactly what you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly what you said. And I can't believe I just sent that email off this morning. And she's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's way too long to get paid. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, thank God for you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need you on my team.
Literally, literally, it is like people, you're hiring somebody for a service. And I can never wrap my head around the fact when people are prolonging paying or whatever the case. You're hiring somebody for a service. You know what their fees are. If you can't afford it, then don't have them come. You know what I mean? Like then
This
don't
was a
have that service.
huge company. Huge. I'm not going to say their name. I'll
Yeah.
tell you
Yeah.
offline,
Off air.
but huge. Huge. Huge.
Yeah.
One of the biggest in the world. I will
Yeah.
say that.
And then it took them 6 months and you don't want to work with them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that interesting how that is? But that's why I think it's so important for people, the listeners, to hear this because it is so important to pay people. It is so important not to take advantage of your family and friends, and pay them for their services and be appreciative, because I've also had people like, hey, if you're referring out roofing companies or contractors, why don't you ask for like a kickback of like $50 or $100 here and there? I'm like, $50 and $100 is not going to do me anything. I am not going to ask for
Hmm.
a kickback. My hope is that I refer them business and they'll refer me business. Like I'm not going to
Yeah.
expect anything from them. If they
That's
feel, if they feel that
exactly.
that's that I'm worth them referring their friends and family over to 100%. But I'm not going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you this. Now you give me $50. No, I was going to buy me a meal. I don't care about that.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. I don't refer anyone unless I completely believe in them.
Mhm.
And I actually won't even have anybody sponsor my podcast unless I have experienced the product or the service and
Yeah.
believe in it. Like I had a company called Newtopia that wanted to sponsor my podcast. And I was like, well, hey, let me try your products. And if they work and if I like them, then yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were offering me good money,
Mhm.
$4,000 a month, $1,000 an episode. And I'm keeping it, man, maybe I'm keeping it too raw and real
No,
with
you're
your
good. No, I
audience.
love this. Yeah.
Um, but guess what? I tried the product and they were smart because they did sponsor my show for a month. But guess what? I'm a customer for lifetime.
Yeah.
I I love them. I freaking love their products. Like,
Really.
yeah, yeah, I really do. They make a huge difference. I love it. So,
Yeah.
point being said, like I only want to
Yeah.
have people sponsor. I had a company for a while that was like, well, you could make a lot of money. We could run ads on your show, be sponsored through our network and blah blah blah. I did that for a little while. I was like, I am not doing this. I
Yeah.
am not doing this because the whole reason I started my show was to add value
Yeah.
and not to listen to a bunch of commercials.
Yeah. 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 And you want to believe in what you're doing because you don't want to like encourage people to do what they want and what they believe in and what they love. And then here you are just utilizing money, but you
Oh,
in the
I
product.
won't
You know
do
what I
it.
mean?
I won't do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. That actually brings up a really good point. There's this individual here in town who has a really big following on a Facebook page. And he had contacted me a couple different times, and it was only going to cost me a couple $100 to market on his Facebook page. I mean, he had 22 to 25,000 followers, and I could not do it. I could not. And there was another agent who was doing it, and this agent was getting listing after listing after listing after listing. And I felt that if I would have committed to that, I would have been going against my morals, going against my values, because this individual tears people down.
Oh,
It's a
forget
media.
that. Good for
Yeah.
you for not doing it.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of tough because I had people be like, Shay, we should do this. It's only a couple $100. So and so's getting all these listings, he's getting all these views. And I'm like, I can't. It does not sit well with me. Like I feel like I would be going to bed at night dancing with the devil. You know what I mean? It was
Okay, see,
so
I'm so happy to hear that you said that.
yeah,
Um, and good for you for listening to your gut and sticking by your values and
yeah.
your morals. That says a lot about your character.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, and you know what? Everything happens in the right timing, and good things come when you're putting good things out in the world.
Yeah.
And I will never forget, I was on a call with a host of an event, and he's like, well, we already have Ed Milet and Jesse Itzler speaking at our event, so I don't have any more money to pay you. And it was just the way that it was handled, because I speak for free to some
Yeah.
events. Like if it's somebody that's a good friend of mine or a charity or something I believe in,
Yeah.
I didn't get into speaking for the money,
Yeah.
but it was just the way that it was handled. And I was like, oh, if I say yes to this, then I'm saying that those guys are worth it, but I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, thank you for the opportunity. I'm not going to be able to do it. I
Mm-hmm.
wish you the best with your conference. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like kicking myself, going, oh my gosh, I really wanted to hang out with Jesse Itzler. Like I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I really wanted to get to meet him.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was having major FOMO. A week later, I didn't even know Jesse Itzler was
Yeah.
following me on
Yeah.
Instagram. A week later, I get a DM from Jesse Itzler. Hey, Amberly, I'm going to be in Dallas. I think you're in Dallas, right? I'm going to be in Dallas speaking at this conference and also for the Dallas Cowboys. And I messaged back, happy to support you. Where can I buy a ticket? Because I thought he was messaging me to buy a ticket. So, of
Yeah.
course, I was going to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
He goes, no, 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 not buying a ticket. I just want to hang out. And I was like, oh my gosh. I said no because I wanted to protect like my self worth. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And now a week later, Jesse Itzler is actually sending me a DM. He sent me his phone number. I got to go meet him, hang out backstage, and I'm backstage going, okay, what do you need me to do? You want me to get B-roll? You want me to get
Yeah.
you going on? He's, no, I just wanted to hang out. And I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
He is the coolest guy ever.
Yeah. Now, I think I heard him speak. Does he run a lot? Is he a
Yes.
big runner? Okay, I know who it is. Okay. That's
Do
what I was,
you know Jesse Itzler?
I don't know
He's
him
married to
personally.
Sarah Blakely.
Yes. So I heard them speak at GrowthCon 2 years
Oh,
ago, I think is when it was. I can't quite remember, but I heard him and his wife speak a couple years ago at GrowthCon and so entertaining. He just seems like he is a ball of fire.
oh my gosh. He is for
Yeah.
sure. It was so entertaining. It was funny because I was sitting outside the conference room and I was dressed in a jacket and a dress, and the event people were like, are you our speaker? And I'm like, no, but your speaker is on his way soon. He rolls in. Like for me, shoot, I get in the night before, I get in some sleep, I look at the stage and what it's going to be like. He literally rolls in like, I swear, 5 minutes before he's getting on stage. And he's like, Amberly. He runs in, hey, come on. And we go backstage and he takes off his wrinkled t-shirt and puts on a little less wrinkled t-shirt, takes off his old baseball cap and puts on a little bit newer baseball cap. And he had a DJ with him. And then off he went. And I was like, hey, I will start the standing ovation for you. And he was amazing, but it was just like such a difference in how I do things, and
Mhm.
every speaker has their own way of doing things. Like
Yeah.
I just got hired to speak for a big mortgage company actually
Okay.
in February, and it's 2 hours away from me. And I said, well, hey, just so you know, I'll need a hotel room. It used to be so hard for me to ask for anything.
Yep.
It
Yep.
really was.
Mhm.
And I said, you know what? Just so you know, I'll need a hotel room the night before because if I am your opening keynote, I want to be rested, on fire, because it's still hard for me
Oh
to
yeah.
drive with complex regional pain syndrome. I mean, I have a Tesla that helps me, but
Yeah.
it's still hard. And so, yeah, I was like asking for what I need, and they were like, "Of course, we got you. We'll do this."
Mm-hmm. You know, I read a book. It's called Ask by Mark. Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Oh,
Mark. Oh, I met him. He signed it. It's called Ask. And
I'm
I've
gonna
gotten
write that
really
down.
good. Yeah, it's called Ask. And I've gotten really good just asking. You know, I mean, it's not that, I mean, obviously you want to be reasonable, but you just ask. And the worst they say is no. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, one, knowing your worth, but then two, just ask. And it's a really good book. So he talks about the power of asking and the importance of asking because
Mm-hmm.
Crystal is a good example. She has a hard time asking for things too. She doesn't know her worth. So I actually about a month ago, she does photography for other agents in town for their listings too. And I said, "Hey, send me a list, or I want you to increase the cost of your packages for your photography because she's like the only one in town. She's so cheap." I said, "I want you to increase it and then send it over to me." So she did. She increased it a little bit. And then I said, okay, now great. Add $25 to every one of those packages and $50 to this package. She's like, Shay, I don't think I can do that. I'm like, no, you will. So do that and then send it out to the agents who hire you for the photos. And she has never had a kickback since. I mean,
Wow.
like you just have to do that. I mean, if they want to call
Yeah.
and try to negotiate, whatever you want to do at that point in time, but you have
Yeah.
to know your worth. You really do.
Yeah. And you know what? I want to share something with you that was shared with me a long time ago. So I remember um, Joe Tremaine, who was a big dance studio owner. It was my dream to be on scholarship at his studio, which I got to do. And I'm so grateful. But he taught me something a long time ago about using the word cheap. And I never forgot it. So now when I hear it, it's like, ooh, I got to say something about that. So instead of telling her your prices are too cheap,
Uh-huh.
say your value is so much more than you're charging for. The quality of what you're giving is I mean, it's unbelievable. And so I think that it just kind of shifts like
Yeah. Your mindset about it.
your mindset about it. Instead of saying cheap, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, no, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's quality work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I
No,
just
I actually
I had to share that with you because somebody told me that a long time ago. So now I don't use the word cheap,
I love that. I
especially
love
when I'm
that.
talking about my own stuff. I do
Mhm.
not use the word cheap
Yep.
because I'm like, when you think of cheap, what do you think about?
Just not worth it.
Crap.
Valuable. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. No, I think, yeah, if I would have probably approached it in a different way that said, where your value is so much more than what you're charging right now. She probably would
Yeah.
have a different perspective of that. I mean, she still did it, but I think it probably would have been a little bit of a softer conversation rather than just like blunt force trauma kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. But I wanted to share that with you because it's something I never forgot after all these years. And let me tell you, that was 30 something years ago.
Isn't it interesting how certain things just stick with you? Like it just,
Yeah.
like, so mine is, how you pay people is how they'll pay you, but then also get comfortable being uncomfortable. Like those are two things that have just kind of always stuck and resonated with me. And I've tried to live by along with my morals and my values.
So I'm curious. Maybe I need to have you on my podcast. How do you get comfortable being uncomfortable?
I found myself that when I'm very complacent and comfortable with my life and things are going well, I feel like something has to change because I always want to grow and you're not growing unless you're stepping outside your comfort zone. So that is one thing that I realized, and that's one of the reasons I even changed brokerages about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, is because I was there was a lot of other things going on that wasn't aligning with me, but I was at a place where I was doing really well. Um, but that's it. Like I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get where I wanted to go in life if I stayed there. And so I
Mm,
know I needed to make a change. And when I realized it was my brokerage, that was tough. That was really, really hard for me. Because change can be very hard. So for me, I realized that like if I'm complacent with where I'm at, things are good, they're fine, whatever, I'm always looking to grow. And I have to step outside that comfort zone in order to grow. So
mm.
that's kind of what I've picked up on. And usually when I get bored, my husband, he'll joke. I'll be like, "Hey, you should do this and this." He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm in between appointments." He's like, "Holy moly, find something to do."
Ah.
Like, "Holy shit, Shay, just find something else to do. Like, stop looking for things for me." But yeah, so I don't know. That's for me anyway. Like I feel like in order to continue to grow, I have to step outside that comfort zone and I have to challenge
Yeah.
myself and take risks, which I'm sure you have experienced as well.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's hard for some people to take risks?
Oh my
Like
gosh.
I feel like there's a lot of people that are just like frozen right now. They're stuck. They don't want to make any moves. They don't want to think about anything. They're just stuck. Do you feel
Well,
like that?
I do. I would say probably 98% of the people out there, and nothing drives
Yeah.
me crazier than people coming to me asking me for advice, what they should do when it comes to business and their life and personal development, and then they take no action. I'm like, I'm giving
Yeah.
you all of this information for free. I'm giving you the resources, and you're not doing anything about it. And then 2 years later or a year later, they come back to me and we're having the same conversation. I'm like, okay, well, what have you done? Well, nothing, but this is what I really want.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. You know
Hmm.
what? I had a lady in well, I've had a couple of ladies in my mastermind that one I had to I'm very protective of the people that I have in my mastermind because we are a close
Mhm.
family. They're my inner
Yeah.
circle. I mean, they're in my home.
Oh, I could
Like,
tell. I could tell when I was there, very much so.
I mean, I love these women, but I have to be very protective of who I invite into that mastermind. And I had one lady that had been in for over 2 years, and I had to have a talk with her. And I said, "Hey, I love you, but you're not taking action. And by you not taking action, it is bringing the whole energy of the group down." I said, "Because we're action takers, we're go getters, we're impact makers. So, unless you're going to take action right now, I'm sorry, but you will not be able to be a part of the mastermind." And you know what? She took action.
Good.
She started posting. She started her podcast. But you know what? I need to have, I will only have action takers in the group. And there's a lady in the group that when she first started, she had no confidence. I remember she came to an event that I had in Dallas and she had a baseball cap pulled way down low, like she was hiding.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, "Who's that gorgeous lady?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's who it is." And that day, I challenged everybody. I was like, "You know what? Today, I want you to make a Reels for Instagram." And that was when Reels was still pretty new,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
And she had never done a Reels, and it took her hours, but she did it.
Hmm.
And since then, she has written a book. She's got a top podcast. She's all over media. And all it took was just taking some action,
Yeah.
getting in the room, taking some action, and sticking to, yes, okay, I said I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. Because
Mhm.
that gives you confidence when
Yeah.
you say you're going to do something and you actually do it.
Yeah. And I think that that's where a lot of people lack is their confidence and their belief in themselves. Because the number one thing that you have to have in order to start your entrepreneurship journey and self-help and all of that is the belief that you can get where you want to go. But so many people don't believe that they get stuck in this analysis paralysis. Like for me, I'm more of a bigger vision person. Like I'm like, hey, this is where I want to go. I need to figure out who I need to put in these places to help me get there, where so many other people get stuck in the nitty gritty and the small little things that it prevents them from taking action altogether. And
Yeah.
it like I love my husband dearly, but he's more of an analytical person. I'm a bigger vision person. So when I was going to be
You
changed,
and my husband, I mean,
oh
your husband and my
gosh,
husband sound like they're a lot alike.
it is the craziest thing because when I was going to be transferring or making this transition with my brokerage, all he could do is focus on all the things that will go wrong or could go wrong. And he's like, well, what about this? Well, they do this. You're not going to have this. You have to find this. And I'm like, holy shit. Finally, I was like, Adam, I don't need you to tell me what could go wrong. I said, I want you to tell me, Shay, I support you 100%. And no matter what happens, we will get through this. And he's like,
Yeah.
okay, okay. And then
Yeah.
I
But
finally was able
Shay,
to do
you
it.
know what I have to say is my husband is a lot like that.
Mhm.
And I actually got my feelings hurt a couple of days ago because, we just wrapped up this in-person retreat at the house and I was excited about it and I was recapping things and talking to him and this and that. And he was like, I'm I'm trying to watch my show. Could you stop? I'm trying to watch my show. And I was like, oh, wow. What I've had to do is rely on good friends of mine
Mhm.
to be able to talk to them about things with my career or that I'm excited about or that I'm doing
Mhm.
because my hubby, he doesn't get it. Like
No.
he doesn't get it at all. Um, and so I don't know about you, but do you have like a circle of friends that you
Yeah. And
rely
that's
on?
why I started this Real Moms thing on it or over here. That's why I started it because I mean my husband, we get along great, but you're still in two totally different worlds. And so I started this Real Moms community here locally where we meet every other week. You do have to be a mom, you have to be an entrepreneur. And I'm very kind of like you. It doesn't cost anything to be part of this group, but I'm very picky about who's in the group. I'm very particular. And if you're not attending, I'm going to probably kick you out or I'm going to ask you to start attending more often because I want to create a close knit community of like-minded individuals. And that's totally fine if we're not a good fit for you or you're not a good fit for us. There's nothing wrong with that. I just want to make sure I'm surrounding myself and the other individuals in the group with positive action takers who are going to pull each other up. We all have our down times. Don't get me wrong. We all have those times where we're below average, but that's why you have that sense of community to help pull you back up and get you back on track.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think connection and community is everything.
Because even like my past, like I should say my past friends, I have three best friends that I have known since out of the womb, basically. They're not my community when it comes to the entrepreneurship side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the conversations with them like I do with my Real Moms community. Two totally different conversations. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just know who I can talk to about certain things because, like you, yeah, we might be super excited, but men just don't quite get it, especially if they have if they're an analytical thinker versus like a visionary.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And you were talking about like having action takers. And I think a lot of people, what stalls them from stepping outside their comfort zone is the fact that they're not disciplined. Like they're waiting to be motivated to start taking action. But it starts
Mm-hmm.
with discipline. Well, it starts with action. Action creates discipline. Discipline will create that motivation. Motivation comes and goes. It really does. But
It
as long as you
does.
stay consistent and disciplined with your actions, that motivation does come back. And then you're like, whoo, yeah, this is great. and then it'll kind of go down. But you just got to stay consistent with it.
Exactly. Yeah. Willpower definitely goes out the window. I always think of it like, if I've been, I eat really healthy but if I've been in my office on Zoom after Zoom after Zoom, and I get up to go to the kitchen and there's a chocolate cookie laying on the counter, I'm much more likely to grab that cookie
Mhm.
because I haven't been disciplined in doing the things that I told myself I was going to do, like, work out, take a break,
Mhm.
drink some water, go to the bathroom, like little minor things. And I always say, what really helps me is remembering the word halt. Never get too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, because when you do, that's when your discipline goes out the window. And, like I said, I do not rely on willpower alone, because that definitely goes out the window if I have any part of halt.
Mhm.
And boy, look out if I am too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. All those things together, woo.
I
But
like that
I
acronym.
try to always make sure that I don't get too hungry or lonely or angry or tired, which is hard as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and it takes discipline.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It does. And I always, because my morning routine, so I try to be in bed by like 9:30, sometimes falling asleep by 10, but I'm up at 4:30, 4:45, doing my journaling, doing my workouts and reading. Um, but some people are like, oh, I'll stay up till 1 o'clock and then I'm up at 4. I'm like, I am so unproductive when I'm tired. Like
Mhm.
there's things that I need to get done. And there's once in a while that's fine, but I can't do that night over night over night. I can't. Like I need my sleep because
It
any
catches up to you.
oh my gosh. Well, and then like when I am doing the work, it is not productive. It's taking me probably 2, 3 times as long. If
Yeah.
I would just go to bed and get it done later, that I just don't know how people, they're like, no, we got to go, 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 grind, grind, grind. And I'm like, but I'm not productive. I am so
No.
far from being productive.
No. And I mean, look, I just came back. So I was speaking at an event in Salt Lake City. I came home, in the same week I was doing my in-person retreat. And then I finished the retreat and I had somebody text me and say, a friend of mine say, hey, how's the emotional hangover? Because he's a speaker and he knows, like, well, I don't know if he's ever done his own event, but doing your own event, it's like, it's a lot that pours into it. And I said, yep, it was there, but I'm speaking at another event today. So I don't have time to deal with any emotional hangover. Well, yesterday in the afternoon was the first break that I had had in weeks. And I'm embarrassed to say, but I was like, oh my gosh, I have a 30-minute break. I'm just going to lay down and close my eyes for a little bit. I missed my team meeting. I woke up an hour and a half later with my alarm still going off.
Mhm.
I was so exhausted.
Mhm.
I slept through the alarm.
Mhm.
And my team knows that's not me. That's not like me to do something like that. But I was like, oh my goodness, I guess I'm really, really exhausted.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, I don't think anybody should push themselves to that point. But it's because I was getting to bed at midnight and waking up at 4
Mhm.
several nights in a row. I was getting like as much sleep as somebody would get in 3 nights of sleep. What
In
people were
three
getting
nights,
like,
you were getting what people do in one night, basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Your body
exactly.
needed that. And I would definitely say that is nothing to be embarrassed about because you're human and that happens. And you obviously, your body was like, nope, this is more important. This is
Oh
more
my
important.
gosh. I can't believe. I feel like I laid down and
Got up.
oh my gosh, I don't even remember falling asleep. I was like, okay, alarm set. going to take a 20-minute nap,
Mm-hmm.
hour and a half later.
Yeah. But I bet you
Probably would have
felt
slept even,
amazing.
I probably would have slept even longer, but my husband came home and he was like, "What are you doing to sleep? What's going on? This is weird." You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. But your body knew you needed it, and we need to be okay with, so I have my previous pastor, he had moved away, but I went and talked to him last year because I went through like a mental breakdown. I lost like 15 pounds in 2 weeks. It was just the worst mental breakdown. I don't even know why, to be honest. But
Really?
yeah, it was horrible. It was so bad. I was sleeping maybe an hour and a half at night. I felt like it lasted an eternity. I think it lasted like 3 weeks. It was the craziest thing. My clothes were falling
Wow.
off me. To this day, I don't even know why. But I remember going to my pastor. I woke up one day. I'm like, I have to talk to Brad Bertel. He is amazing. And he's my pastor. So I called him or I texted him and I said, can I come see you? He's like, yep, I'm available between this time and this time. And I just went and talked to him and I talked to him and he said, I'll never forget that he told me, he's like, Shay, you need to learn to be still. He said,
Mm.
you're always going, going, going. Your mind is always thinking in the future. He said, even when you are taking time to yourself, your mind is constantly wandering. He said, I want you to start going on walks in the morning, kind of like John Gordon and his prayer gratitude walks, which I love. But basically doing that, he said, I don't want you to have a podcast. I don't are like be listening to anything. I don't want you to listen to a podcast. I don't want you to listen to music. He said, you need to go out there and just be still. And then I kind of read John Gordon, the acronym prayer for his gratitude walk. It's praise God, repent your sins, ask God for forgiveness and the things that you want in life. You yield to God's perfect timing. You expect that God is going to show up, or you speak with conviction. And then R would also be receive. See, be open to receiving the gifts and the opportunities that God is presenting to you.
Mm.
So that has really helped me, is to be still. And I need to remind myself, like, it's okay to take a nap. It's okay to be still, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And thank you for that. Yeah. Um, I woke up and I was like, "Oh my gosh." I texted my team and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I totally took a nap and overslept and slept through my alarm." And, I was just brutally honest
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
said what had happened.
Yeah.
Um, and they're amazing,
Yeah. Yeah. There's no point
and
in people getting upset with you because that's life. We're human.
well, and it's interesting because like my event planner was like, "Well, I've been really worried about you. I see all that you've been doing and I don't know how you're doing it all." And
Mhm.
I was like, "Okay, she gets it. She understands and she knows that it's not like me to miss an appointment." So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Amberly, I know that you have a busy, busy schedule, so I want to thank you so much for being here. If there's one piece of advice that you could give to the listeners, what would that be?
listen to your gut,
Okay.
and energy is everything and everything is energy, because for a long time, I was sexually abused as a child and I remember thinking and knowing it wasn't right. And when I said this isn't right, they said, "No, this is how dads teach their daughters." But I knew in my gut it wasn't right. And it's taken me a long, long time to actually listen to my gut.
Mhm.
But we were talking earlier about, my mastermind and stuff and how protective I am about the people that I want in there. Well, energy is everything. I only want good energy in there. And I think you can feel somebody's energy, whether it's through listening to this podcast or watching on YouTube or seeing somebody's post. And I just encourage you listening, like protect your energy.
Mhm.
Protect your energy and always listen to your gut, because look, your head will tell you something, your heart might say something, but your gut never lies. So listen to your gut.
Yeah, people are either a battery or a vacuum. They're either sucking the energy and the life out of you or giving energy and life to you. So you got to follow that gut. That's why we have it. Our intuition, it's there. You just got to listen to it. So, Well, Amberly, I truly appreciate you being here, and I look forward to hopefully taking a big group of women to your conference. So we'll be
I have it
about that.
written down.
Hey,
Look,
all the highlighters and everything.
I have your name written here, and I want to make a special table for you and your friends. So,
I'm
yeah,
excited.
I will be in touch with that.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Amberly, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You're amazing. Thank you so much for having me on. You're such a great interviewer, but even like the most amazing person. And I'm so glad that we have gotten to connect. No wonder everybody loves you and loves your show because you're amazing.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Well, thank you, Amberly. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Real Moms Podcast. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their story and insights today. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And hey, sharing is caring, right? Share this podcast with your fellow mompreneurs, friends, and anyone who you feel could use a dose of inspiration. Share it on your social media as well. But most importantly, if you found this episode helpful, please, please, please leave me a 5-star review. This helps get our information out to those who have never heard or seen us before. Are you feeling inspired and you're sure that you could add some value to the podcast? Shoot me a message and let's talk. We love hearing from you. So connect with us on social media. Tag me at Shay J Spitz. That's ShaeJSpitz. And share your thoughts and takeaways, or even suggest topics you'd like to have us explore more in the future episodes. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Your resilience is your strength, and your pursuit of abundant living is truly remarkable. As always, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep embracing the beautiful chaos of being a mompreneur. Until next time, take care, stay real, and keep living abundantly.